The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome, everybody, to another hour of the Power Trading Hour. You were sitting in the previous hour for the one and only Larry Pesavento. As we go into this hour, it is different because it is sacred. It is the hour that we meet at the appointed time. It does. And what do we have going on now? That is that we're up a bit. In the newsletter this morning, I was looking for 405. That's what options were pointing to at the start of the day. I knew, or let me put it this way, I suspected that we'd have very light volume. And that's generally, if you're going in a direction with very light volume, generally the risk reward ends up being more problematic. You see a lot of stuff in the den. They're talking about a stock that had heavy shorting yesterday, didn't really have a lot of indication it was going to go higher other than a lot of people being on the wrong side. I think there's a lot of that short squeeze going on. We're going through a bunch of stocks today and did in the previous hour that we're testing lows on lighter volume, but they're not doing much. Some of the more highly shorted stocks are AMD and NVIDIA are perpetually at the top of the most shorted stocks each day. As a percentage of the shares, not everybody goes home short, but as for origination of short positions, they tend to be 1 and 2 about 80% of the time. So are we just seeing kind of a short squeeze in the associated move? Well, I'm going to say yes. We're starting the hour here in September at less than we just turned 6.1 billion shares on the CBOE consolidated tape. So I'm not all warm and fuzzy going into next week. It's not uncommon to see the Fed and the Treasury and Ma and Pa Kettle get together and support the market around 9/11. I wish I would have thought about it yesterday. I thought about it about a week ago, and then it drifted off, as so many things do in my accelerating age for remembering stuff. But certainly it's very rare to not see a market that gets supported. Now, if nothing happens, generally they pull that support out and back fairly quickly. So we may have a lot of action maybe Monday or maybe Tuesday. They don't tend to pull it all out at once, but by Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised to see a dip back around 4,000 on the S&P cash, but we'll keep an eye on that. Right now, all we have is a lot of stocks testing lows on lighter volume, but not really having a lot of love after testing those lows. And a handful of stocks kind of short squeezes. We did have some fairly decent news in the reaction to earnings, which we had earlier today on the open. Let's go ahead and pull that up because I didn't talk about it in the previous hour. But certainly Zoom probably caught a lot of people sleeping that were, right? Is it ZM? Is that what it is? Zoom. Yeah. You don't have to do a lot, but it had a nice pop. It was a bit stronger pre-market, but take a look here. It's up 2%. We also had some other bigger ones. We'll give it the winner of the day award, and that is DocuSign. Another one where everybody was probably just hanging on far too long on being short. This thing had been shorted pretty heavily on the way down for the last 2 weeks. You got a nice pop today with a lot of volume. good indication you had a lot of people still sitting on the wrong side of the fence. I'd give this thing 3 days before it works out the shorts. I don't think the earnings were that good. They just weren't that bad, and that's a lot of times all you need. Restoration Hardware was another one on the earnings calendar. Volume a little bit better. Again, another stock with a lot of heavy short sellers in it. On this one, you're going into the candle of the 26th of August. You did so with 1.2 million shares. You got about 1.3 now. So not as bad as one might think, but not all that going on. Anyway, we're spending a lot more time on stocks this hour. We're going to do a little news or history, and then we'll get back to the stocks and what we were looking at in the previous hour. Oh, I already did that. I want to do history. And what do we have here today? Oh, I got to get that pulled up, don't I? Come on. Oh, where's that? No, it was here. Okay, there we are. On this day in 1945, the operators of the Harvard Mark II find a moth trapped in the relay number 70 in panel F of their computer. The bug is taped to their troubleshooting log where it was written, first actual case of a bug being found. This is not the first use of the term bug for computer problems, but it was the first time the term debug was used, and now, of course, commonly used. Probably will be forever. But I digress. Going back to emails in the last hour, we had two. Okay, let's. I didn't delete it, did I? I don't think I did. Okay, we looked at Wolf, KRTX. Okay, KRTX. We'll look at got a minute left, and we'll go to some other questions that came in during the break. Cartuna Therapeutics. On these, I'm a big fan of when you have these monster gaps, is at least waiting to trade them until they come back and fill half the gap. In that case, it'd be about 180, maybe 185-ish out here. But you had a gap, you had a lot of energy, you had a couple of days to follow through. Now it's consolidating down, but it's not uncommon. And for me, I don't know enough about the company itself, but generally I'll wait and make a decision after it makes a 50% retracement. And let's see what that would actually be here of that. Let's do this. It's number. Well, halfway would be in 50% retracement. I'm thinking 180 and 180. That's where I'd look for it on the review.
In a time of booming inflation, where your purchasing power is eroded, there's no better place to protect your hard-earned money than in gold. Vista Gold's flagship asset is the Mount Todd Gold Project in the Northern Territory of Australia. This is Australia's largest undeveloped gold project. We are talking a world-class gold project in a Tier 1 mining district. This is a large-scale, low-cost project with significant existing infrastructure in a politically safe and friendly mining jurisdiction. Vista Gold just completed the Mount Todd feasibility study, which resulted in a 7 million ounce gold reserve in a 16-year mine life. All of this, combined with the approvals of all major operational as well as environmental permits. This distinguishes Mount Todd as an attractive, de-risk partner, ready development stage gold project. Vista Gold trades on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol VGZ.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And we're back. Had a question in the previous hour. Now if I can find it. Trash. Okay. Where's that here? Spam? I think I deleted it. Sorry. Question was, why could the futures be so different than the reality on the ground for the bond 2-year? And there's always a thing called a contingent and a contango. You probably want to look those up. I don't know how they apply to the bond market. I've never been a bond trader. I do look at the TLT to see how to trade equities. And that seems to be good enough for me as an indicator. But I haven't seen any future yet that didn't have, at some time or another, a contango or a contingent where the difference was rather wild and almost unexplainable. But there are things that happen in the market that make those things way off their long-term values, sometimes because someone's on the way wrong side of the market and has to get out or cover if they're short. So I'm not exactly sure on the bond market. Maybe somebody in the den knows a little bit more about it and they'll bring something up. But all futures that I've ever seen have that contingent or the contango. And if you have any more questions about that, email me and I'll send you what that is. But we've had times where oil was actually people were paying people to take it. What was that? Just a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. And it blew a bunch of people out. Weirder things have happened. And that's why the saying, you better take the small stops because if you don't, you're going to take the mother of all stops eventually. So that's it. Okay. Let's see back here. Let's go ahead and close this. Okay. Question about Tesla. and my conversation yesterday about driving most of them. Have I driven a Tesla? Yes, I put one back together the end of last summer. I think we talked about it at some length on the show back at that time. But we took one water damaged one and one wrecked Tesla and made a single good Tesla out of it by trading parts. I called it my Franken Tesla. It wasn't mine, actually. It was a friend of mine. So we spent about 3 or 4 weekends putting it back together and taking care of most of the problems. Was just, it's okay. I don't know. They just look so plain. I know people that say they look great, but they just look plain to me. And after all these years, they really haven't done anything with the looks. Anyway, as we go to Tesla on the charts at the moment, don't see a lot out here. It's certainly starting to look like it's range bound. We've talked a great deal over the years about stocks that have splits, and they radically tend to change their personality after they're split. So I've kind of put Tesla on a no-fly zone until I figured out how it trades, but they do tend to trade differently after the split. There's no real reason why, but of course prices are made in the minds of men, not in the soybean fields, as I was told. What was the guy's name? I think his name was Woodlock. I read that. I think he wrote that in 1905. Prices are not made in the soybean fields. They're made in the minds of men, and that always stuck with me. Anyway, we'll look at some other ones out here. Got a question to look at gold. I think you'd really need the dollar to move lower. And as I said, I'm not really suspecting there's that much going on. Certainly, you've crossed back over the trading range. You've done so, and there hadn't been a lot of energy. It kind of looks like the rest of the market, and that is that we could pull back down to the lows again next week. And if you get lighter volume, maybe you got a low. If you get heavier volume, we could go blow these out. Now, one of the reasons not to get too excited about gold is it did test the previous low on a little lighter volume, but not that much. March 8th, you had almost 14 million shares at 157.13. This is on the GLD. You had 157.32. So you didn't quite get there. You were in 15 cents. You did drop about 2 million shares, though. The downside is like the rest of everything we've been going through here in the last hour and a half, and that is too many stocks with too much energy on the way down, although lighter volume tests. That generally says that there's going to be some consolidation before you go back up and try something again. Let's go ahead and look for some other one. International paper. Just a triangle pattern out there. Go back here and look at some other ones. To a Legion model. NTES, which is NetEase. Yeah, you did get a test. 1.4 million shares, June 15th. And you went and tested it yesterday with 1.5. So, yeah, not a whole lot in that one. Let's see if we've got any more emails here. I'll check again. No, they're somewhere. There it is. Okay. I think we already looked at Apple an hour before. Didn't think a lot. Here's one I haven't looked at for a while. A big conglomerate in the smartphone space. Again, not a whole lot to write home about. More than likely, you're going to get a retest of the 87 low that you saw last week. July 5th, $90.16, 1.7 million shares. You did get into it slightly lighter volume on September 1st, and you bounced, but you really haven't had any volume. Yesterday, you had 1 million shares. Today, less than 400,000 shares already. So I'm really starting to suspect that next week, maybe late next week, we're going to go back and retest some of these lows. What else do we have? Revlon? Is that what this is? Revlon? Just noise in that one. Skin. Never really even tested the low on that one. Tilray on my radar. Man, this one is now 1/100th of its top price. It was $300. At its high, it's now $3. And maybe somebody that really knows the weed industry will call in 877-927-6648. I always thought that it was going to be hard with so many people getting into the business for these big companies to make any money. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
As we come back, question from Mike about Microsoft. It's up about 2-3% here, so we'll take a look at that. Again, kind of the entire market, and that's a light volume bounce. Last time you were in this price range, you had 22, 23 million shares. Today you got about 12.8 million shares. So real resistance comes on this bar, the 26th. The low of the day was 267. What are you at now? 264. So could you get a little bit more? But this really looks like they're squeezing the living daylights out of the shorts today on almost no volume for the entire market. We go back to the CBOE consolidated tape at 2:30, which is a time in the afternoon if you're from Lutz, 6.4. billion shares on the CBOE. It's going to be a light day. It's been light for the last hour and has continued to get lighter. So not a big deal. Question from Sam about Williams-Sonoma. We'll look at that one real quick. Well, kind of more of the same. You got 3 days of lighter volume. 1, 2, 3. The last 3 days up have been nothing but a stepping stone lower. Yeah. I don't see a great way to put a position on it. Take two out here. Of course, this got a nice bounce into the highs when everybody, I think they had some earnings and they also had some upgrades, and people were telling everybody that they were the best thing since sliced bread back here at 137.43. That was on August 16th. You have a nice gap higher today, but last 3 days have been in the 1 million share range. Got about 1.2 so far. So again, very, very light volume bounces, not much going on here. Let's see. Let's take a look at USO. It's on my list. Now on this one, again, energy is about the same on the way up and the way down. I like it when the energy is a whole lot less on the way down, and then you test the lows. It may be all you get on energy at this point. But your March 16th low at 67.73 had 13.6 million shares. It came into it with 7.5 million shares a couple of days ago. Today you got about 3.3 million shares. So again, pretty light volume. Not a lot of reasons to get too excited out here. To UTI. Okay. Universal Technical Institute. I am surprised that any of these guys are still in business. Seems like every day you read about them getting sued. I don't see anything other than this one's going sideways. Okay. Whirlpool. Be interesting. He didn't quite go back to the lows. He got back into some of it. This looks to me like this is got a light volume bounce off the 149.62 low. You got no volume coming in. So that's it. WWE, they got rid of Mr. McMahon and didn't replace him with Mr. McWoman. But everybody got all excited about that. Hot and bothered. It gapped up. That was back on the 25th of July. You got up to 75.23 and it's just sold off back to where it went. 3.6 million shares on that July 27th pounce. You did get back into it with a lighter volume and spiked down to $65 on the September 7th with 700,000 shares. So a pretty good, what is that, about 1/5, 1/8? That's a lot, pretty decent light volume. You tested it with 500,000 shares the time before. Up on, let's call it 800,000 shares yesterday. Today, though, no follow through. And that always, there weren't a lot of things that I followed in the IBD, but I did like when Tom used to have him on, he talked about so many days, his rules for the follow through. I didn't, I figured they were more of a suggestion than an actual rule, and more of a guideline.
The code is more what you call guidelines than actual rules.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought they were. Anyway, they talked a great deal about, you need to have some follow through and continuation with volume within 3 or 4 or 5 days. I can't remember what their rules are. I picked 3 days and tend to stick with it. And that is, I want to see these actually get some volume. So can they kind of stumble up for a day or two? They can. With the, I'm going to say extreme light volume today on so many of the stocks, I'm going to say that it continues to be extremely problematic. Question for Ron on EDZ, and you still have plenty of time to get emails to me at path@tfnn.com. Well, you're just banging against these highs. This is the emerging shares bear market 3 times X. Man, you're 4 times back into this $15, $16 range and been kind of thrown a brushback pitch. This looks like this one, the next move could make it. You did pull back today. Volume's a little stronger. The big problem you have is that this trades far too closely with China, and they could always come out and say that they're going to throw more money at the problem. And they can't. But you had light volume at 1594 and pulled back and came right back up to it. You had even lighter volume this time, but it's not really backing off with a whole lot here. This looks when you get to these highs, it's something that Tim Ord told me very early on, probably around 2000 or 2001. And he said, you see these patterns out here and there's not a lot of energy, but they just kind of hang out there. They just hang out. They really don't pull back. They come up and hit it multiple times. They don't really fail after the third time. They just sit their way and chew their way through the high. If we're going to fail, my guess is that this next time up would be the time that this actually breaks through that area of long time resistance. 877-927-6648. Okay. Okay, take a look at the UVXY. Wow. Let's go ahead and shorten that up. Well, actually doesn't look bad, John. You haven't quite tested that low, but the light volume out here is interesting. August 18th, $8.71, 78 million shares. You got 42 million shares today. And if the volume continues at this path, we are going to have a fairly extensive light volume day, maybe 9.2 billion shares, which would be fairly light even back into August. Anyway, give me a call, 877-927-6648. I look forward to your dulcet tones over the phone.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A shares hot or not? If you trade China A shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A Share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
And as we come back, looking at the volume in the SPYs here for Ronald. And yesterday you had 80.8 million shares. Today, 45 million shares so far. Day before you had 71 million shares, 76, 99 million shares. So, yeah, it is a very light volume move. Now, sometimes the market's just waiting to get through 9/11 to make sure nothing happens. But as I said, more than likely over the last 20 years or so, we've seen the Fed kind of get and the Treasury get in front of this and kind of move the market. I suspect the big move in the dollar is somewhat related to that. Maybe they pushed a lot of cash into the market, make sure that there's no problems. Everything seems to go back to normal on the following day or a couple of days after that, but not much going on. Okay, what else do we have out here? Anyway, super light volume. Don't know what else you can say about it. 6.6 billion shares on the CBOE, and that is just dead. Question about PLTR. We'll look at real quick. Yeah, again, it looked fairly good after the gap down, and like maybe it'd come back up to 1075 or so, and then maybe kind of rolled down. It didn't. It just gave it all up. The last major low was June 13th at $7.50. It broke through that. That had 41 million shares, but you had about 39 million shares. Energy was about the same on the way up as on the way down. You're back into the trading range, but there isn't much in the way of volume. Got about 18.5 million shares. Now, could it still base out long enough and that be over? It could, but again, probably more consistent with a U bottom than a V bottom. So I would say steer clear until this thing works out its little way. One of the winners of the day, of course, on that dollar move is the XLE. So we'll give it a party hat low there. And that is a nice pop higher. Only 14 million shares, though, so far in the XLE compared to 27 million shares and 30 million shares. So we can see just how light these last few days. And generally, the risk reward for me, if you get any kind of surprise, is problematic. So I tend to stay out of these light volume moves. And a lot of people want to be making money every day like they're working for a hourly wage. This doesn't apply to all stocks, but it does apply to some of these. I would say sell when you can, not when you have to. And on a light volume, that is early and often for me to take the cash and run. Yeah, the 9/11, I didn't think about it till yesterday. I thought about it while I was on vacation. I probably should have written it down and remind myself that you get a lot of this stuff around here, but it doesn't seem to really matter over time, except the time right before and right after you get a little bit of permutations in it. Okay, anyway, not much going on here. As I said, very, very, very light volume. Could be just everybody wants to wait until 9:12 and figure that that's in the rearview mirror. Nothing happened, but that's kind of the thing. Got some emails about the marijuana stuff. I don't know enough about that business to know, but I continue to wonder if that thing wasn't ruined by just so many people getting involved in growing it at home and locally, and a easy way to make extra money. But certainly those stocks are well down in the dumps for, a stock being $300 and now $3. But, I did read another thing that said half of all the marijuana is coming out of Oklahoma because of the laws that they have, that everybody's moved there, and they're talking about changing the laws. But right now, it is so easy to grow stuff there that you don't have to be a big time marijuana grower. You can grow a bit and make a decent living and export it all over the United States. But apparently Oklahoma has become the hub of marijuana cultivation. Okay, what else do we have? We looked at Take Two. A question about Electronic Arts. I hate to kick the same dead horse, but it is problematic. A few days ago, you did make the low on September 6th. It was 2.3 million, 2.4 million shares. $122.54. You're now back up and hit the high of the day today at 129.74. Right now, 128.62. But just look at the volume: 2.3 million shares, 2.3 million shares, 1.7 million shares yesterday, and now 1 million shares, and gave back at least half of what was going on there. I actually kind of like this game area, the game manufacturers, with all the less expensive video cards coming on the market. Leaves a lot more money to spend for, a $50, $70, $100 game. So my guess is come around Christmas, a lot of people are going to be buying the cheaper GPUs from NVIDIA and AMD, and going to have a little bit of extra money that they didn't have in years past to spend it on. But we're really now just looking at the games that are coming out for the fall and seeing which one's going to be the hot one. So I'll keep an eye on that. We'll bring it up one day on the show. Gap down on the first of for NVIDIA, the 1st of September, did so on 117 million shares. Is that right? Yeah, 118 million shares. Up today on 38 million shares into that same gap. You didn't quite get in there about halfway, but generally these things will fill the gap by about halfway before they start moving back down if they need to. But another kind of low volume gap fill, I'd like to see 147.50 and fully fill at least half that gap down before I would do anything. But like I said, I think a great deal of these are ready to go back and retest the lows. And maybe on that test, you get the lighter lows, or maybe you just... Hey, Hector says, we don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. What's the name of that song now? I know it was Merle Haggard. We don't do that. Oh, an Okie from Muskogee. Yeah, that's... Haven't heard that in 100 years. We'll be back in a minute.
Vista Gold owns and operates the largest undeveloped gold project in Australia, the Mount Todd Gold Project. Vista Gold just completed their feasibility study, resulting in a 7 million ounce gold reserve. Vista Gold has all major permits approved and has retained CIBC capital market assistance in evaluating alternatives and in completing an accretive transaction. Vista Gold trades on the NYSE American and TSX under the ticker symbol VGZ. Vista Gold, executing a strategy to create shareholder value.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
Anyway, we're getting ready to wrap up another excellent power trading hour. Tom O'Brien here to wrap up the day and the week. And that's about it. Just can't harp on it enough, I don't think, about the very light volume going into this weekend. I suspect that we'll probably have some unwinding of this, but it certainly looks like most of the action is in short squeezes on a lot of these stocks. That may last a day or two, doesn't tend to last more than 3. So we may start seeing some action as early as Monday, maybe as late as Wednesday. We'll have to see how that actually comes in. But, not much here to write home about. Okay, look at that. CCJ, we talked about this the other day, get a lot of emails on it. We traded it a couple times very well in the newsletter and made some decent money over the last few weeks on that move higher. We bought it back, I don't know, about $22.50, sold it at about $26.50, bought it back at about $26.50 and sold it at about, it was about $29.50 or something. So we had some good times in the daily newsletter, in the path of least resistance.
Thank you, path of least resistance.
Yes, that's right. So what do we have on this one? Well, just got a light volume. I suspect this is going to continue to base out. It's going to break above that level, and then that's going to be the big move. But I have a feeling it might take a little while. Like I said, I think maybe next week we get a low. And at that point, maybe we start seeing the leaders for the fall start breaking out. Uranium energy probably continue to look as the bright spots of this fall. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you here Monday once again.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible